The day has arrived. It is the 4th edition of the Sharp Betting Roundtable. Bigger, better, real, raw, red. We are live. You are looking live at the Liney Listener Lounge, which is part of the mothership here at 50th and Dodge. NRG Media, 1620 The Zone. The Roundtable is upon us for the next 4 hours. This is a must-listen radio, interactive radio. One of the things that's come up in the last month with Nebraska recruiting and recruiting with chaos, they've been able to get a couple of good verbal commitments. When you were going through the process, and you mentioned the message boards, and you're very active on social media, interactive with people as well. Take us through negative recruiting.
I did have an incident, I will say this, and I'm not going to call his name out, but it was a message board person who had said some comments about my son that wasn't warranted.
And ironically, he's in the studio audience.
No, I don't think so. But, I mean, he could be.
Personally, I would, from what I've been on there about 6 years. I mean, I post quite a bit. I know Sipple was cracking jokes about how, we hide behind a username compared to giving our real names. But that's, if you understand message boards or even like people that go online, play games, they don't use their real names.
I know where I want Nebraska to be in my heart of hearts. So then I had to say, okay, how can I come to grips with what I'm seeing versus where I want them to be and still function?
There is a tremendous amount of character guys in the program. I mean, say what you want about Bo's performance, but he's got a lot. I mean, his players, and I would include his assistants too. There's a lot of character in that program.
You have to have a bar, and when you start seeing things go below that bar, then someone has to step up, whether one of the players or someone who's close to the program, and force or make comments to push them to make them understand that this is not acceptable. So sometimes you can't be stubborn as a football player, as a coach, to where you say, wait a minute, we got to make this more simpler for our guys to go out there and fly around and have fun.
Saying I think maybe it's stunted some growth or, made Bo a little bit hesitant to make change when, if you go 6-6, then you step back in the offseason and you say, you know what, we got to change things.
When I hear people say they're not competing, I mean, there's been 2,000 coaches or so in the history of college football. Fewer than 5% operated at a 70% winning clip for their first 5. Of those coaches, only one inherited a team with a losing record, and that was Pelini.
In order for players to really truly understand the value and the tradition and history of Nebraska, you got to know your past. And I don't think a lot of players on this current team or the last 10 years truly know the history of Nebraska football.
I don't talk to Michael much about football. I try not to, at least, because I just want to be dad. He has enough pressure talking to him about that. But, there was a point in time when I actually had to start talking to him about football because some of the things feedback I was getting from the coaches, about his effort or what have you. And I think Michael's actually on record for saying, beginning of the season, he probably wouldn't have played himself. And that's when we had to have a moment.
We put a premium on high character guys. If we put a premium on high character guys, do you get somebody that motivates a team like a Christian Peter would?
Today, we couldn't get Christian Peter into school, I don't think. Today, a lot of the guys who played in the 90s could not be recruited. Texas took care of part of that in 1996 when the Big 12 was formed. Going into the Big 10 took care of the rest.